It's like riding a bike. Nothing is easier than hosting a Hangout, and it's live, 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 Monday, July 6th. And I'm Ron Motter, host of Planeta.com and the host of these Monday Hangouts, talking about your global, responsible, eco-local, conscious travel. With us, we have some guests from around the world, and we'll get to each of them. I want to invite viewers. If you have questions, please use the Q&A app, and we'll get to those questions during the Hangout. And I want to thank all of our participants. A reminder, if you're not speaking, if you can, I'm going to try to mute. We're getting some feedback on somebody's computer, but we'll take care of that. Global responsible local conscious travel. With us, we have some guests from around the world. Is that you, Razan?
No.
Invite viewers. Chris, that can't be from you then? Yeah. And we'll get to those questions during the Hangout. Where is this coming from? Reminder, if you're not speaking, if you can. All right, who was that then? All right, everyone's muted. Oh, great. All right, Jeremy, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Hi there, I'm Jeremy Smith. I am now the editor of Trivindi.com, which is a new, relatively new news website that I have been building along with my colleague Anula Galuska from Poland, because in my various other guises, writing for World Travel Market, writing for WTDC, writing for myself, I spend a lot of time looking for news on sustainable tourism around the world, and have been relentlessly frustrated that there isn't one single place where I can go and find the news and look back through it. It's an afterthought in mainstream news sites, or it's posted randomly across the internet. So because I was spending a lot of time looking anyway, I decided to use the time, or some more time, to make the thing that I felt we needed. It makes, something that I would use if it was just for me, something that hopefully shows people that this niche sector, whatever people want to call it, is really not so niche. There's an enormously large amount of stuff going on, but it's only when you put it all in one place that people start thinking, wow, there's really quite a lot happening around the world. And so that's why I'm sort of back in public again, doing the rounds, because I'm working on this in my own time, unpaid, but I believe that hopefully this is something that we need.
I think this is a great effort, and we'll get a screenshot of the Travindi site up. Is it just Travindi.com?
Yep.
And what? Excuse me, but what is the what's the name mean?
The name means I was available on social media and every other URL and domain name out there. Because I can always, being a writer, I can always back refer to anything and after the event justify things. Obviously, the Trav is a bit of a clue, and Indie is independent. The Indie is a newspaper in the UK. It's what we call the independent newspaper. And it's a newspaper that prides itself on being independent, neither left nor right. There was always that old line in German Green Party from the 1970s of neither left nor right, but in front. And I consider to be, I obviously have a bunch of opinions, but I'm trying to make this site an independent site, an indispensable site, a site of insight and innovation. Those all begin with IN. Therefore, that's a lot of reasons to stick it. But mostly it's because when I found it, Travindi.com was available, and then when I did the social media search, Travindi at Facebook, Travindi at Twitter, Travindi at everything else was available, and my experience is that you be tidy.
A very good lesson learned, and I wish half of the listeners could understand that. Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. By the way, Indy is the capital of Indiana. But I thought it was a travel guide to Indianapolis. But I guess not. Well, let's continue. Razvan, we heard from you last week. Can we hear from you? Can you? Uh-oh, Razvan's having some technical problems. Can we hear you?
Hmm.
Okay, then let's excuse me. Let's move over to Chris. And Chris, where are you? Hmm. Okay, you have to unmute Chris. Okay.
Are you
This is
talking to me, Ron?
yes. When I say Chris,
Sorry,
go ahead.
are you talking? Okay.
We hear you. Hmm.
You,
Keep talking, Chris.
this is my second hangout. Hi, Jeremy. Hi, Kristen. Get all of that introduction your face because I've had via and I've also been with Anulla about hopefully we'll be able to in the next couple of weeks.
Chris, can you hear me now?
I can. Can you hear me?
We hear you fine. All right. So what's
No,
the
you
story?
can't hear me.
Yes, we can. What's the story in Greece?
Well, there was a referendum that was held. The Greek people voted no to the euro, not to be to go out of the euro. People have been insinuating, but the Greek go by the rest of the eurozone members.
Okay, let's see.
Can you still hear me? Okay.
Not really. We're having problems. Let's see. Can you turn off your video?
Better.
Let's see. All right.
Yeah.
So the big question is this: should travelers make plans on going to Greece?
Please repeat that.
Should travelers continue making plans on traveling to Greece?
What I've heard is that foreign bank being accepted throughout the country. Talking to several people who are, I'm in the UK at the moment. They're quite worried because having to take large amounts of cash. Cash still is very important. Small tavernas.
Chris, I'm sorry. We're getting very little bit of your audio right now. Can you restart or reboot your computer and come back into the Hangout?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll join. Okay.
Please. Let's see. Razvan, over to you. If we can hear and see.
Hi. it seems that I solved my my technical issues here, so I think you can hear me loud and clear now. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so this is my second hangout with you guys, and I'm very pleased to be here with you this Monday. And I hope I can join you even in the next hangouts. I'm also very happy to meet Jeremy Smith. Jeremy Smith, yeah, Jeremy. I never knew who Jeremy Smith was. Actually, Jeremy Smith discovered my story, and he was the first journalist that published something about my story in his in the website. And I'm very happy to meet him and to thank him for giving me credit for my story. And I don't know what else I can add to.
Well, tell us what happened last week.
What happened last week? Yeah. What happened last week? Last week, I've met Martin. He's a great guy from South Africa, and I managed to, thanks to your Hangout and thanks for inviting me, I managed to meet Martin. And after the Hangout was finished, I managed to get in contact with Martin, and he also wrote a story, an article about my story on his travel website. And also, Martin is putting me in contact with one of his friends that is, if I'm not wrong, he's organizing, a local cricket, is promoting the local cricket in the world. And I'm going to be in contact with his friend later this week, and we can, we would like to make like an experience exchange of what I'm doing, what he's doing, and see what we can borrow from each other, and try to make our projects better, and by sharing our ideas, and building making a brainstorming between us.
Perfect. Hey, here. Okay, let's take a look at this website. This is called Village Life.
Yeah, it's funny. You know why it's funny? Because the reason I bought this domain, and the reason I called my project Discover Village Life, it's simply because I didn't want, and I don't have a name for my resort, And what I planned to do, I planned to to let someone else to name my resort and to give the name he wants, And but the thing is, I just wanted to to give a general name, something that should fit perfectly to what the people should expect seeing, and expect doing, and expect finding. If any of them plan to visit us.
Okay, here's the question. What? Excuse me, but what is the name of the village?
The name of the village is Brehuiești.
And what is your connection to the village?
My wife has her grandparents over there. So to be honest, Brehuiești is only 10 minutes by car from the place I was born in Botoșani. It's a big city. But until I got married, I never knew of existence of this village. So my wife had, yes, exactly, that's the one. So my wife had it still has the grandparents over there. So I met this fantastic village with people and welcoming people, and like a traditional village where if you come over, people don't know you, and they stop you on the street saying hello and asking you how are you, and things like this. I was amazed for this thing. And another thing about this village, it's very close to UNESCO World Heritage Site, and also it's close to a lot of important things to visit, and places to know, and a lot of things to do. But this these places, I honestly, I don't know for what reason they are not promoted, not even locally. I mean, they're not promoted, not even like from the local institution that should promote the places that should be visited and known by the people. But I know of the existence of these places, and I really want, if you go back to my website, for example, and if you go to the activities, the guided tours, you'll find there a lot of places, except the Dracula tour. The other places are not very known for the people, and I think basing my projects over there, it's going to be very a good idea, because I'm very close to a lot of okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so if you go to activities, for example, and you click there, you see, yeah, exactly, guided tours. Okay, so except the Dracula Castle, the other one, the 14th century Suceava Fortress, the Sturza Castle, the painted monasteries. Okay, the painted monasteries are very famous, and but the oh, you want
Oops! I clicked the wine tour.
yeah. How come?
So how far are you from the nearest vineyards?
This one is one of the biggest vineyards in Romania, and this vineyard, antique vineyard, and I'm just like 1 hour far with driving from this place. And I spoke with the people over there, and they will give us a sommelier that will drive the people through the vineyards, with other people through to the cellars, and tell the story of the wines made over there. And also we can make wine tasting inside the vineyards over there. So it's going to be a very nice experience. On the way back, we're gonna stop to the wine museum that is like more or less 30 kilometers away from this place. And also we're gonna see, the traditional way of making wine in Romania.
Now I noticed that on the wine tour there is a price on it, so it's not just pay what you want.
Yes. So let me make something clear. Our business policy is pay whatever you can. Okay, so pay whatever you can for accommodation and food, because those services is us that we offer them. For all the extra services that we cannot offer us, because we don't have a vineyard, we don't have a lot of others, we don't have the Dracula castle in our courtyard. Okay, for the other services, the people have to pay the cost that those places ask to be paid. But for everything else that we offer the services, it's pay whatever you can.
Let me ask you finally, and then we have to get to Kirsten, and hopefully, the last question is this: how many have you had visitors? Have you had guests? And if so,
not yet.
Not yet.
No. Okay. So we are a startup. Okay. So I bought everything last year in November. Okay. I'm still working. I'm still building the place and arranging the things there. So I'm not ready yet to receive guests. So if everything goes as I planned, I'll be ready to receive my first guest in March 2016. So next year, March next.
Good to know. We'll make sure that goes on the wiki.
The thing is, I bought 2 old houses, traditional houses, and I restored the houses, and I want to make some other things, in order to be a place to welcome tourists.
Fantastic. Kirsten, can we hear from you?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Yeah, happy to be here. I really enjoyed last week's Hangout as well. That was my first one, so this is number 2, and happy to be here and see you all. Basically, I'm in Sarasota, Florida, and I currently am doing a little bit of travel blogging as well as content. I probably spend more time curating content, and I do a little bit of a smidgen of starting to edit the Planeta Wiki, just starting to learn that. But mostly this week, I did spend a little bit of time. I normally try and tweet and blog about indigenous issues as well as indigenous travel. But I did spend a little bit of time viewing the UNESCO conference this week, which is a challenge. If you're used to going to events like that, I suppose it's easy. But it's I tried to sit through about 15 minutes of it, and I learned a lot about the heritage sites and the people, the online. I guess, what's it called? UNESCO Heritage Convention, I guess, was the name of it.
Right.
And that was interesting to hear. I got to hear a variety of countries. I think Poland and Colombia, Philippines, and what I heard almost everybody talking about was we need to leave politics out of the discussion about World Heritage Sites and try and get back to actually taking care of the sites, which was great to hear, because sometimes when you just assume these big government bodies, and maybe this is too idealistic to say this, but you assume, oh, they're taking care of everything, And so it was nice to hear the players from various countries saying, we have our sites in our countries, and we would like to get back to the monitoring of them, and let's stop worrying about lobbying and politics, and so that was interesting, because I'm kind of new to that whole business. But
well, very good. Well, I'm glad you could be with us. I'm glad you're helping edit the Indigenous Wiki page. I'd love to know more about Indigenous culture and how to visit it in Florida. There have been some interesting
I did do
excavations in Miami, and keep an eye on those pages. We are keeping track of that.
Sure. Yeah, I did do a blog post. I need to update my blog, but the last post I did was actually featuring Seminole and Miccosukee tourism, and probably the coolest part about it is I was able to find some videos that I put on there. The chairman, I think it was the chairman of the Miccosukee tribe. It's a short 2-minute video, and it was neat.
Oh, very
It was neat
good.
to be able to find this.
Reminder, we have Indigenous Peoples Week scheduled August 3rd to the 9th of next month, and many thanks to our co-hosts and partners in this. And yeah, this is a wonderful time to look at Indigenous tourism. Let's get back to Chris. I don't know if we have you. Let us know if you're back. And Jeremy, can you come back into the conversation? Okay. Chris says his connection is awful. So, well, darn it. As I say, Chris, just I think the big question I think we have about Greece is, kind of like Nepal. It's like, when do we, how do you promote tourism? Is it safe to travel there? And of course, tourism being such a major part of the economy, again, what are the do's and don'ts? And, I was listening to a program from Radio National in Australia saying, again, that the big question is just making sure you're not walking around with heaps of cash in your pocket. But, again, the practicalities, I think, are incredibly important. Jeremy, can we get you way back into the conversation?
Yeah, I'm right here. I switched back on again.
Thank you.
Do you have a question for me, or do you want me to?
Pre-form it. Yeah, this is.
Okay. The thing I've added into Trivindi, which is going to be properly public this week. I'll see if I can screen share. That'll take my levels of technology enormously. I'll just share my screen.
Share your screen.
Is that going to work? And then if I go in.
There you are. We see it.
Yeah. So that's the home page for those who haven't actually seen it before. Now, just as well as telling you what has been happening, as of now, we're also going to be telling you what is happening. So is that coming up for you? The calendar?
We see it. You have the RT Unite networking on July 7th. Tomorrow.
And then so we need, so the idea is that if this is going to be a central news site, it should probably also be a central event site. But I don't want to be, I've only got so much time in my day, and also it's not all about me. So when people click the submit your events thing,
very nice.
You can put your events in. They get sent to me to quickly check over that I'm not being spammed.
Do me a favor, if you can you just copy the URL, the link in the address bar, and just paste it into that first tab you have, the Monday, July 6th Hangout?
Into which tab? Say it again.
The very first one you had there, back on the other Google page, on the other Chrome page, that very first tab, yeah. And then just where it says say something. Hey, Alistair's watching.
With that.
but any of those links that we should add to the show notes, and it'll take a while. Yeah, thank you. But and if you can, go back to the submit new event page or your website.
Yeah.
And what else should we be aware of? What are the cool places, the under the radar pages on your website we should be checking out?
Okay, the thing which is still really developing, but I think is when we get it completely right, and it works. It just doesn't look right yet. I'll show you. If we go, so we went to the innovation section, and we were to pick on this new story here that's just been published today about United Airlines.
I believe that's a Nevada angle too.
Nevada?
Yeah, Nevada's doing the waste processing.
Maybe the company's from Nevada. I don't know. But this is what we've probably got, which is a bit different. Is the format that we put our articles in is a short little couple of paragraph summary of just what the article is about, then an in brief with a two or three key points, factoids, statistics, whatever it might be, that just summarize the article. A link back to wherever this original article has come from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to connect with the many organizations around,
Hey.
so I'm connecting with Outbounding.
Yay!
Ethan and Matthew's thing. So basically, they've actually got a discussion group going on off this article, discussing the issues to do with using biofuels in aviation. Are they the solution, or are they another red herring in the long list of aviation red herrings? And so rather than trying to start another discussion here, I'd far rather send people to the discussion pages. So
Beautiful.
promote Outbounding and send them there. Likewise, it'd be great to highlight the correct wiki pages on Planeta. So that's the sort of thing. Give them a relevant tweet feed, and then some further reading, a nice heavy duty to report, so you can really get the gist of it all. And then this is a bit I wanted to show you. In the future, basically each article has got some tags with it. For this one, it's aviation, biofuel, and energy. You just type your email address in there. It works a bit like RSS. Whenever I publish an article on aviation, biofuel, or energy again, you'll just get sent an email telling you about that specific article has been published. You can then go to a tag cloud homepage where you can add or subtract any number of tags and just build up your own personal sort of catalog of, I want to know about aviation, Chiapas, Google Hangouts, how the Red Sox are doing. Not that you're going to get much of that from me, and whatever else. And then you're never going to get an article about something you don't care about, but you'll always get the articles that you do. So if you get an email from Travindi, it's specifically about something that you said, I want to follow this topic, which hopefully, we get far too much email newsletters in our lives. So
One second, Jeremy. Speaking on behalf of someone who just doesn't want any mass-produced or whatnot email again in the future, do you have an RSS page, or are there other ways to keep track of aviation and fuels and energy?
I will. Well, it's a tough call. I could have an RSS page, but then with an RSS page, we've got these categories, so I could do an RSS for each category.
Right.
But then if I did an RSS for every single tag, there'd be an aviation tag, there'd be a Europe tag, there'd be thousands of tags.
Again, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, the question is, what I'd love to see is a RSS feed for, again, like biofuels.
I've got this is in essence an RSS for biofuel.
But I need an actual RSS that we can embed on the biofuel wiki page.
Oh, I see.
And also, and as a side note, if you look at the wiki, and again, all of these things will be so different in 5 years. If you look at the Planet the Wiki, any of those pages would include its own RSS feed at no trouble to me. I don't create it; it's created automatically. But let's make sure we have a link to this, and if in the future it's possible to, again, automatically embed the RSS, I'd love to do that rather than getting another email I'm putting in the read later mailbox.
Sure. basically whatever works out to be the way that the users, and this is what I'm getting from you guys right now, which is, one of the reasons I'm here having this chat, whatever's going to make it simple for people. I mean, I want to make, to me, these are the most important stories in tourism. But I know how busy everyone is, and I'm asking you to give you some of your time to read these stories. So the least I can do is make it as easy for you as possible, and that's in essence what this is about. So if you feel, if RSS is a required or a desired service,
Mm-hmm.
let's
And
put RSS up there.
you may want to stop screen sharing.
Just did.
Okay. It's all intuitive afterward.
So there we go.
I love it. I love it, and I like the look of it. I like the design of it. Personally, I don't like the the newsletter subscription, just because that for me is a personal turnoff. Although I understand for people over 60, they love that. I don't know. How do people want the material?
Well, the funny thing is, we actually sent out some requests last week to people for information on what was the preferred way, and every single person, and I'm only talking a number less than 10, every single person said the way they most wanted to get the news from us was by a weekly newsletter. They said, I'm not going to come to your site and look at the news, but if you send me a weekly newsletter with 10 key stories, I'll trust you as an editor to pick me 10 stories are worth reading. Other people, so it's, I've got some email newsletters I like reading, and some that I unroll.me the moment I go back around the corner, because I guess, if you don't want it, don't subscribe to it, and then find the way that you want to use it. And if you want RSS, I'll make sure there's RSS on there so you can come in and RSS it.
That'd be great. We'll take a look at. We'll make it easy. And
exactly.
Ever since I got your book. Remind me, what was the title? What was the title?
It's called Clean Breaks. Then it got rebranded as Great Escapes by Rough Guides.
Oh, how we love the rebranding. But I was writing another book. We've been in touch for now more than 10 years. Can you?
Yeah, on and off throughout the time.
Step us back, why are you focused on responsible travel? What are you after? What motivates you?
Same thing as motivated me when I first met you and wrote my book. I'd spent the years beforehand, I'd always been an environmental journalist, and it just got too bloody depressing. And I like travel, and I need solutions. And I'd spent a lot of my life shouting at people for what's wrong. But I need to find some way of traveling. My wife's South African. I can't just say goodbye to half my family and say I'm not going to see you again. I also see a lot of amazing stuff happening in the responsible travel sphere in places like South Africa. And this is, at its best, this is an amazing industry.
Okay,
responsible tourism are great.
All right, name check 3 South Africans. Who inspires you?
People. Dave Martin from Bulangula inspires me enormously for what he's doing. Proving that it doesn't have to be expensive and high-end to do responsible tourism, that it can be a backpacker's lodge in the middle of nowhere, and pledging to hand the whole thing over to the community after 7 years, a community that had never seen a tourist, most of them had never even left the village, and 7 years later they've got 100% ownership of their award-winning thing going on there. So he's pretty cool. Lisa Martus, who runs Kurisamoya, a birding lodge up in Limpopo, which is my favorite place in South Africa, possibly my favorite place on earth. And again, working with the community, guy turned up and was her gardener years ago. He loved birding so much that he became a bird guide there. A few years later, he won the World Community Bird Guiding thing. And what does he do? He gets tried to be snatched by everyone to go and sort of, do the and beyond safaris. He just wants to stay there and train up more kids from the villages to be bird guides like him, because he knows that's how they'll keep looking after their community. So that's 2. And then, oh God, what's their names? I've forgotten his name. But the guys from Group Boss, down near Cape Town on the Hansby, Walker Bay, who are conserving vast areas of endangered fame boss getting people to stay in gorgeous eco lodges, again, helping the community. I mean, it's the same story done different ways in South Africa, time and time again, connecting the environment and the community.
Beautiful. Going back to your book, was there ever a second edition?
No. No, unfortunately, I was rather proud of it. I thought it sold quite a lot of copies, and I thought it deserved to maybe get another round. But the world changed around us very rapidly. 2007 suddenly seems an incredibly, or 2009 seems a remarkably long time ago, and we bought out a big, fat 500-page book in the same month that Lehman Brothers went down. So people weren't so focused on ecotourism at that moment. Maybe they should have been.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, your work on the web is just such an inspiration, and it's been good to be able to email with you and interact with you, and now hang out with you. This isn't so painful, is it?
This is great. I should do it more often. It's a nice way of spending a bit. It's Monday afternoon. Haven't had a chance.
This is great. No, this is for me. It's starting the morning. Before a lot of things have to start. Get going. But just to have a conversation. I'm all right. Thrilled with this. What's next? I know you have the event page coming on your page, but what are you personally doing in the next 2 or 3 months?
Primarily trying to turn what I hope is a good proof of concept with Trivindi into being used. The first thing I've got to do is grow this audience, make people want it, get the traffic in there, and then from that add more in there. I'm going to start adding more resources into it that aren't necessarily as news-based, connecting to more groups, responding to what people tell me to do with it, and then making sure that my other clients aren't wondering why I wasn't delivering for them and getting all their work in on time as well, because I've still got various other hats on my head as well.
And is your biggest sombrero world travel market?
On a Mondays, it normally is, yeah, because Mondays are when I write the articles for them, and come November, that's definitely my biggest sombrero. So yeah, I mean, and that's been the most productive thing for me over the last 3 years. I suppose just the fact of being able to write the regular column, I've been given really good freedom by them to do so, meant that I was able to, know what, as a writer, you like being asked by someone to write commentary, because
you have a lot of things to say
with the world.
Now, all right, help me out and people who haven't been to World Travel Market. What is it, and how has it changed in the time that you've seen it?
I've only been going there myself for 3 years. The 3 years that I've been working with them, I haven't spent a huge amount of my life at travel shows. But it is, it's the second, I think probably the second largest by footfall travel show in the world, taking place in London over 4 days, and particularly what it has done, obviously being a global travel show, it's everything from the cruise industry to vast Middle Eastern destination marketing organizations to small guys trying to get their new startup noticed, in amongst millions and millions and millions of people. But they have for several years run World Responsible Tourism Day, which takes place over, it's in theory a day, but it actually takes place over 3 days, 4 days as of last year and this year, which is a series of events, seminars, debates, discussions, and I do some pretty good stuff on there, I think. This year the focus is on climate change. It's 6 weeks before the Paris COPs, whichever one it's going to be, 16, and the guy they've got as the keynote speaker, maybe I should say the guy we've got as the keynote speaker, is Kevin Anderson, who is the deputy head of the Tyndall Centre, which is probably the #1 climate change research institute in the UK. And he is not going to pussyfoot around. He isn't someone who's there who's going to congratulate hotels for a 5% reduction on 2005. He's going to say what needs to be said. And so that he's given a space to do so in a global travel industry thing, I think is commendable. and it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Beautiful. No, we'll be happy to keep an eye on that from this side of the Atlantic. I was thrilled when they first did their first live video, we got to see Leo Hickman.
Oh yeah.
And his presentation was one of the high points of any travel conference.
I'm sure he's quite a good guy. And what's happening with you then, Ron? Apart from beyond Planeta, what actually goes on the ground?
What happens here? Well, I'm taking care of elderly parents here in Henderson, Nevada, and that prompted the move from Mexico 2 years ago.
Okay.
So on the fun side, sure, we have the casinos and the resorts and the fireworks, which my nephew just drone videoed last Saturday. I believe, what do you call July 4th? Is it, Rebellion in the Colonies Day?
We just don't call it anything. We just get on with work.
It's so much fun to see it here after living in Mexico for 15 years. It's like, we don't have fireworks on the 4th of July in Mexico. I was kind of bragging about our fireworks to my Mexican friends on Saturday. But anyways, here in Vegas, the cool thing is, and I've always seen this, working, again, as an environmental journalist covering the U.S.-Mexico border back in the early 90s, we don't really understand the value of some of these big travel hub cities and the way that they're connected to, again, rural communities and nearby national parks. And so, 99% of the promotion of Las Vegas will be your traditional, bucket list of things one must do if one's a 25-year-old or Arab chic. The options are kind of, I'd say, limited in terms of general travel writing. But when you look beyond that, we have the Desert National Wildlife Refuge, we have the Spring Mountains, the Lake Mead National Recreation Area, Zion National Park, the Grand Canyon, all of which are wonderful places to go and visit and be a holiday maker. And also as a writer, as a journalist, there's so many stories to be told. They're talking about creating a new monument, which is another type of protected area called Basin and Range, and that's north of Las Vegas with some incredible parcels of the Mojave Desert and some archaeological sites, et cetera, et cetera. And the question in my mind, again, is connecting these wonderful places, these heritage areas, these parks, to tourism. And it's the fight I have with the people who are organizing the official conferences, let's say. This week, for example, is the UNESCO World Heritage Committee meeting, number 39, in Bonn, Germany. But are we really going to hear publicly about Bonn, Germany? No, not that much. Are we going to hear about the UNESCO sites in Germany? No, not that much. I'd love for that event to be kind of this step to understanding the local culture, local environment, and local history. Turn it around. Vegas, I don't think will ever have a World Heritage Monument, or for another 100 years or so. But it does have plenty of 100-year-old history. And as I say, it's this great connecting point to places in southern Nevada, northern Arizona. 2 weeks ago, just attended and spoke at the Native Innovation Educational Technology Conference in Flagstaff, Arizona. And then again, that's at the rim of the southern rim of the Grand Canyon. Navajo, Hopi, Zuni territory. And again, the question is, how do we amplify the information about the cultured, eco-responsible, conscious, local travel options one has? Because the type of communicating we have about responsible travel in South Africa or responsible ecotourism in Ecuador, in the United States, we don't turn that mirror around or that window around and look at ourselves that way. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there was a wonderful book called Blue Highways and about traveling on the smaller roads in the United States. But finding these places, seeing how we can find mutually beneficial tourism, it's still kind of a very scattershot approach. Well, we've had, Martin has talked about this for a bit in the Hangouts, is that, tourism is just so old-fashioned and fuddy-duddy. That if there are 30 things to see, if there are 30 things to see in 1965, you look at a place listing now, and most of them are still there. We don't change we don't change what we're looking at. Tourism in the publishing sphere, publishing has often been so evergreen focused. We don't want to write about what's temporary. I say, well, wait a second. Razvan wants to create this new initiative in Romania, or there's a certain crisis happening in Greece right now. We have to be attentive to it. But that rarely makes the mainstream tourism coverage. It's more or less what is very stable and what existed 30 years ago.
Yeah, I don't mean it's and yet, South African tourism is a completely new and, not completely, but this is a country that was practically off the tourism radar before 1994 and is developing new products. It's developing all sorts of old products, but it's certainly developing a lot of new products. I was in Australia and New Zealand in February and March, and particularly looking to see what their indigenous tourism was like. And the good stuff's incredible. But there's this odd dichotomy between the fact that both of the countries use the associated iconography as a key way of talking about where you're going to come to. So, you think of Australia, you think of those dot paintings, you think of boomerangs, you think of whatever else, you think of Australia, New Zealand, you think of the rugby and the haka dance and the Maori wood carvings and the tattoos on the face. But then they don't then follow it through. It's sort of, you then get there and the tourism is that same surface image at worst that is rather like is a commodified ersatz version of what's really going on. And I think to some degree it's about a fear from the establishment, I think it's probably the safest way of saying it, of engaging honestly with the issues beyond tourism that their indigenous people face.
Agreed. And
Can I weigh in?
Go ahead.
Can I weigh in on something?
1 second.
Yeah, I just wanted to add.
One second. Yes, you can. And
sure.
And let me just say that questions are welcome from our viewers. And Alistair, we're going to get to your question after Kirsten.
I just wanted to make a comment that without being an indigenous person myself, one of the things that I can certainly identify with that came to mind was I was fortunate enough to grow up going to 2 different places. One of them I live in now, but Cape May, New Jersey, which is at the southern tip of New Jersey on the Delaware Bay and the Atlantic, and that's one location, and Sarasota, Florida, where I live now. Both of these locations I went to for, let's say, from 1970 to 75 as a child, all the way up to current, and I have seen they're both different, okay? Because Cape May is a historical landmark, and they have established National Historical Register landmarks, like Lincoln was at the Congress Hall, which is in Cape May. So they have buildings there that they've established. But in Sarasota here, I've just seen this mass wave in the last 10, 15 years of overdevelopment, so that I can see the difference between 20 years ago, the way it was here in my town, to now. It's a very commodified, I don't want to say Disney, but the character is almost gone. And it's still a beautiful beach town, but it's not the same, and it doesn't have the appeal that if I knew how it was before, I'd be disappointed. And so I think some of that kind of ties in with finding these indigenous sites and looking for what the authenticity was, during their time. So.
Thank you. Thank you. We're gonna get to Alistair's questions here. First one is for you, Razvan. Alistair's saying that you're right to make the domain general village life, not. Help me out with pronunciation. Bratohuisti?
You mean the village?
Yes.
It's Brehuiești.
Brehuiești?
Yeah, you're very close.
So good thing you didn't call it brehuech.com. It future-proofs you when he expands your program to Croatia, for example.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I just wanted to add something here about the indigenous people. Another reason for why I built this, because Romania, and Jeremy lives in UK, and here maybe he knows a lot of Romanian, because if you ask a Romanian that lives in UK, what is the real life in Romania, you'll find the traditions and you'll find the real Romanian people in the villages, not in Bucharest, not in Brașov, not in big cities. So if you really want to enjoy the real life, you have to go in a village in Romania. And also the Prince Charles is also he's literally in love with Romania. He bought some houses also, old houses in Transylvania, and he restored the houses, and he is trying to maintain, to preserve the Romanian village as it is, because Paris has the Eiffel Tower, Rome has the Colosseum. Every European important country has something to show to the world. Romania has the village, because once you get there, you understand the difference between what's happening in the Western Europe and what's happening in the Eastern Europe. And I also noticed something, that you today focused a lot of my farm page on my website. The reason of that farm, actually, there are two reasons. The first of all, because the main occupation in the village is farming. The people in the village are living, from farming, from raising animals, and they eat exactly what they produce. So I want to recreate the exact lifestyle that is in that village. And the second reason is because I deeply, and when I say deeply, I mean like I really strive and want to offer to my guests genuine and healthy food prepared with vegetables from my organic garden, with meat from my farm and everything. So that's the reason why for me the farm it's a very important piece of this project, because I don't want people. I don't want people to come by and I go to Carrefour, because we have Carrefour in Romania. I don't want. Maybe you don't know what Carrefour is, Ron, but Jeremy knows what Carrefour is, right, Jeremy?
I do know.
So so I don't want to go to Carrefour and buy things and then put on people's table, because that's nothing. It has nothing to do with what indigenous people eat there. Okay, so I want to raise the animals. I want to have my own vegetables and everything, and I want, when someone comes by, I want him to eat fresh, first of all, fresh and genuine food. So that's, the farm is a very important piece of this project.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
I can say that having when I wrote my book originally a few years ago, people would often ask me, where were the countries that you most loved in the world? And I always said that's an impossible question, but would almost always come back and say Romania. It was the most remarkable experience for someone from Europe. It was exactly as you described it there. The village experience was something that was totally bucolic and was, as I did not imagine villages lived anymore unless they were somehow created in a Hollywood set. And to the point that I think I even wrote about it in the book, that people used to, it was a land where our catchphrases come from, so that each afternoon people would go out onto the streets of the village with a little glass of plum brandy and sit there and wait until the cows came home. And they would sit and wait, and the cows would stroll back down the street, and each one individually turning off into the barn of the local little farm cottage that they lived in. And I was like, that's why they say wait till the cows come home. They do make hay when the sun shines in Romania. and so on. It was, you know, it was life writ real. So I desperately hope you're able to succeed in what you're doing, Razvan, because I certainly love the place, and I went to where Prince Charles has a house and all of the above. It's a beautiful area.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope to that I will succeed to. You know, I'm very close to this. I only have to fix you know, a few things to make the play. Okay. The thing is, Jeremy and that's around. The thing is, if I want, I could start, you know, tomorrow to open the door and say, please welcome. You know, if I want to do this. The thing is, you know, I lived in Italy for 13 years. Okay, I know how the Western peoples are acting, and I know what their expectations are. I know that when you come to Romania, and first of all, you don't know what to expect from Romania. Okay, because from what you see on the newspaper, from what you see on your TV shows, it's not the same Romania that you are going to find when you get there. This is one thing. And the second thing, I know what are the expectations of the Western Europeans, and I also know what are the expectations of the Americans and other people in the world. Because I worked a lot in the tourist field. My wife is still working she's working in a hotel, and we know what are the expectations. So the thing is, yes, I want to offer traditional. I want to offer you know, the lifestyle that it's exactly in a village. I want to offer that. But I also have to offer, you know, like something a little bit more for you know, for the people when they come here. They also have to enjoy their staying. They also have to, you know, to have good remembrance and everything. And they also have to go explore even the other places, not only the village itself, because we have a lot of, as the wine store that I put on the table, as the monastery, the painted monastery, the UNESCO World Heritage Site, as other things. And I want, you know, when you come there and you decide to stay like for 3, 4, 5, 7 days, I want you, when you leave that place, I want you to, you know, to be one of the best travel experience that you ever had, from all points of view. So this is my goal, and also this is another reason why I decided to say pay whatever you think it's a fair price to pay for your holiday. You come in, stay, enjoy. If you like it, and for sure, you know, for sure, a tourist, a traveler, has an idea about what the prices are for anything. So for sure, you'll be able to evaluate and to give a fair value to the services that you receive. So I'm ready to you know, to take this risk and go on and keep my business model as it is. Pay whatever.
Hey, that's a wonderful idea. Thank you for sharing it. And we're going to go to our final question from Alistair. And that is from Alistair, and it says, how many this is for Jeremy, how many people are working on traveling? A lot of content to produce.
So there was a lot of echo there. Can you just say that again?
Razvan, mute yourself.
Okay.
Get headphones. Everybody, the question is, how many people are working on Trav Indie? There's a lot of content to produce.
Well, two people. One person making content, that's me, and one other person, Anula, who is in charge of the business side of things, who will be looking to develop partnerships, develop partnerships, find a way of paying for all of this, doing the magic stuff that writers try and avoid horribly because it's I don't know where to start. So I do all the content at the moment, but that's just because you have to start by being able to do it yourself. I would like to think, you asked me about a few months' time, I think that in a few months' time, just like I showed you how you could submit an event, that people are submitting stories because, you know, Razvan knows more about what's happening on the ground in Romania, you know more about what's happening on the ground in Nevada or Florida, people know more about Australia. It doesn't need to be, you know, it can't all be me. It can't be me because it's taking up half a day every day now for me to do this, unpaid. I can do it to build the thing, but what I want is to have a network of people. There's a lot of great writers out there. Maybe this, you know, I'd like to hope that some people will think this would be a place to put the stories. And then maybe it does need an overall editor, and that is maybe me, who makes sure that, you know, it reads clean, and then we can go from there. But in answer to the original question, at the moment, I'm doing all the content, and Anula is in charge of the business side. So 2.
There you go, Alistair. Hope that answers your questions. I want to thank everybody for participating. It's been again a wonderful hangout. Good to talk with y'all, and we will do this again. Any other final comments from anyone?
No, it's great. Thank you. Really enjoyed myself.
Okay. Everybody, thank you for watching. If you have questions on the YouTube video, on the Google Plus event page, yeah, please post them. Any relevant links are welcome, and we will do this again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks very much.